So who are the four albums that met their destiny in this volatile round two group?
We have four massive names, but four vastly different styles. The contenders for round two, Group 47, were Ghost in the Machine by The Police.
Okay. Polished new wave, complex rock rhythms.
Then you have Cross Purposes by Black Sabbath, a surprisingly heavy later-era metal effort.
Interesting.
Third is Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson, the shock industrial rock star's glam sort of electronic breakthrough.
A real wild card.
And finally, Tomcattin by Blackfoot, delivering just pure southern boogie rock grit.
Wow, what a lineup. That is all over the map. Now, a critical piece of context before we get into the results for Group 47. This is round two.
Right, this is important.
That means every single one of these albums has already gone through the fire. They've emerged victorious in round one.
They've all proven their competitive mettle against three other random albums.
So they have some pedigree.
Exactly. This is the pedigree check. No album here is a filler track. They all demonstrated a certain baseline quality that propelled them forward.
And understanding who they defeated and why they advanced in round one is probably crucial to setting the stage for the Group 47 showdown.
It confirms their established strength. It tells you what kind of fighter they are, so to speak.
Okay, let's start with the eventual winner of Group 47, Black Sabbath's Cross Purposes, and examine its highly unusual path to get here. What did it overcome in round one?
Well, Cross Purposes faced a very unique challenge in round one, Group 118, because it was an all-Black Sabbath group.
What, really?
Yeah. It was pitted against three other substantial albums: Headless Cross, Dehumanizer, and the absolute classic Master of Reality.
That is an impossible choice for a fan. I mean, you're forced to compare different eras, different vocalists, Ozzy versus Tony Martin versus Dio.
And different production styles, yeah.
And it took first place, beating Master of Reality.
I did.
That is arguably the most shocking round one result of the entire quest.
It is a profound statement about the quality of that Iommi Martin era.
So what was the thinking there? How does a 90s Sabbath album beat the album that basically invented doom metal?
So the rationale was complex. I mean, while Master of Reality has that untouchable historical pedigree, it defines stoner rock with tracks like Sweetleaf. The author found that Cross Purposes offered a more immediate, slick, and polished classic rock feel. The production from 1994 was cited as superior.
Okay, so a modern sound.
It gave the riffs a heavier, cleaner punch, allowing the groovy yet dark vibe to shine without, the raw fuzz of the early 70s material.
And what about the vocals?
Tony Martin's vocal work was key. He provided a versatility that the raw energy of Ozzy's early work in that specific competitive context just couldn't match.
So it was a victory for modern clarity and focused heavy rock execution over historical significance and, well, foundational sound. A massive upset.
Huge upset.
Let's move to The Police. Ghost in the Machine qualified from round one, Group 34.
Right. And Ghost in the Machine took first place against an incredibly varied slate of competitors.
Let me guess, just as random as the others.
Oh, yeah. It beat Bon Jovi's arena rock monster Slippery When Wet.
Wow.
Simon and Garfunkel's contemplative folk classic Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Whitesnake's hard rock album Come and Get It.
That grouping really highlights the beauty of the randomness, doesn't it? I mean, Simon and Garfunkel versus Whitesnake.
It's amazing. And the question is, how did the Police manage to bridge that massive genre gap?
Yeah, what was the thinking there?
The author noted that Ghost in the Machine impressed because it represented the Police at their most sophisticated and surprisingly polished, a significant evolution from their earlier punk-infused albums.
So it had a wider appeal.
It managed to appeal to the melodic quality that elevated Simon and Garfunkel while, retaining the rock edge that would appeal to fans of Whitesnake and Bon Jovi. And its inclusion of smash hits, like Every Little Thing She Does, is Magic provided undeniable competitive weight.
That makes sense. The hits carry you through.
It helped it edge out the other three based on songwriting complexity and refinement.
Now for the intriguing wild card, Marilyn Manson. Mechanical Animals qualified by taking second place in round one, Group 150. And that group was defined by massive contrasts.
Absolutely massive. Manson just squeaked by, qualifying over Vangelis's instrumental soundtrack, Chariots of Fire.
The movie soundtrack.
The one and only. And, even more surprisingly, Iron Maiden's early classic, Killers.
It beat Killers, an absolute cornerstone of the new wave of British heavy metal.
That's what's so telling. The source cited Manson's success here due to its radical, surprising shift toward melody and sophisticated harmony.
So it was less about the shock value and more about the arrangement in round one.
Precisely. Mechanical Animals was a commercial shock rock breakthrough, but its success in the quest rested on the strength of its arrangement. It presented a sound that felt entirely new and synthetic, but also incredibly catchy.
It blended a lot of influences.
From Bowie to Pink Floyd, yeah.
Yeah.
Its sheer modernity and expert production gave it an advantage over the raw energy of Killers and the purely emotional resonance of the Vangelis soundtrack. It was a win for concept and complexity.
Okay, and finally, the Southern rock representatives, Blackfoot. Their album, Tomcattin, qualified from round one, group 92.
Blackfoot took second place, advancing over Welcome to the Pleasure Dome by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
A huge 80s album.
And the self-titled album by Daniel Powter.
Bad Day.
That's the one. And this victory speaks entirely to consistency and raw rock quality. Tomcattin may not have had the massive cultural zeitgeist impact of Frankie Goes to Hollywood or the chart appeal of Powder, but the author judged it on sustained performance.
It was just a solid album from start to finish.
Exactly. It delivered quality hard rock and consistently strong songs from start to finish, with Ricky Medlock and Charlie Hargret providing superb guitar work that simply outlasted the weaker tracks on its competitors.
So we have 4 albums that are in their spots. A later-era metal giant, an intellectual new wave staple, a glam industrial concept album, and a consistently powerful southern rock machine. This brings us to the prediction for Group 47.
Knowing their pedigree, the author fully expected the Police's Ghost in the Machine to be the clear frontrunner.
Makes sense.
Maybe sharing the top 2 with the dark horse, Marilyn Manson's Mechanical Animals. Black Sabbath was a wild card due to its non-definitive era status, and Blackfoot was viewed as the long shot, the definite underdog.
And as the album quest gods often demand, that prediction was utterly demolished.
Completely. It was a dramatic upset.
And it was a result that really forces you to reevaluate everything.
It was. And before we even reveal the deep listening results, it's worth noting that the author even paused to appreciate the variety just in the titles of these albums.
That's a great meta detail. What does the title comparison reveal about the group's philosophical makeup?
They noted that the titles really encapsulate the massive span of creative intent here. Ghost in the Machine immediately signals intellectualism, deep, maybe existential inquiry.
Very heady.
Mechanical Animals screams manufactured identity, mixing the carnal with the futuristic.
Right.
Cross Purposes is rooted in duality, conflict, and religious symbolism, which is, typical of Sabbath's lyrical themes.
Of course.
And then you have Tomcattin,
which is just what it sounds like.
It's just a straightforward, boozy wink to promiscuity and reckless behavior. So you have philosophy, dystopia, theology, and debauchery all packaged into one 4-album group.
What a mix.
There you go.
Okay, let's move into the listening analysis that resulted in the final ranking. And we can start with the 2 extremes of the hard rock spectrum, Black Sabbath and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, their musical foundation is worlds apart.
Even though only 4 years separate their release dates, 1994 and 1998, it feels like a generational gap.
It is. It's a clash of eras. Sabbath, the pioneer, is dealing in foundational heavy metal, rooted in blues and doom. Manson is operating in post-industrial shock rock territory, synthesizing everything from glam to electronic music.
Yet it was Black Sabbath, with Cross Purposes, that claimed the first place spot in Group 47.
The veteran takes the win.
So if Cross Purposes is often overlooked by casual fans favoring Ozzy or Dio, what specific musical qualities made it stand up? Not just against the other albums in this group, but against the sheer nostalgia power of their own catalog in round one.
The author was adamant about this. This album is slickly produced, heavy man, and thoroughly engaging.
Heavy man.
Yes, and it was judged the heaviest material in this group, not just in terms of volume, but in execution and focus.
So the sound benefits from 90s clarity.
Totally. It's less murky than the classic Sabbath, which allows the intricate riff work of Tony Iommi to be perfectly defined.
Let's talk about that production and Iommi's contribution. If it's not the definitive Sabbath sound, what is the sonic signature of Cross Purposes?
Iommi, the foundational riff master, is operating with surgical precision here. The production, which was by Leaf Maces, manages to make the album sound massive without sounding overly processed or compressed.
Which was a real risk in the mid-90s.
A huge risk. The brilliance is in how Iommi structures his riffs. They retain that classic ominous feeling, but they are delivered with a tightness that feels almost thrash-adjacent at times.
And Tony Martin's vocals are equally crucial.
Absolutely. He possesses incredible power and range, capable of the requisite doom growl, but also injecting genuine emotional nuance into the slightly more ballad-esque pieces. He's a phenomenal singer.
Now, we did mention that the author acknowledged a few numbers were plain and ordinary. In a critical listening environment like this, how do the peak tracks overcome those weaker moments?
The album builds momentum, and the peak tracks are absolutely worth the journey. The critique points out that the first couple of tracks are, necessary setup, but once you hit the third track, immaculate deception.
The album shifts gears.
It hits a massive gear change.
Let's focus on Immaculate Deception. What makes that track a winning moment?
Musically, it's a brilliant exercise in dynamics. The author highlights the use of an unlikely synth.
Synth and Sabbath.
Yeah, but surprisingly, it provides an almost textural element. It adds depth rather than that cheesy 80s gloss.
Okay.
But the structure is what really sells it. Slow, chunky, almost suffocating verses, punctuated suddenly by a rapid, soaring chorus.
So that push and pull reinforces the heaviness.
And Martin's superb vocal performance navigates this dynamic shift flawlessly, making the chorus an explosive release of metal energy that is genuinely headbanging worthy.
I can picture it.
Yeah.
That energy is sustained.
It is, through what the author called the high point of the album quest analysis. This middle section of the album includes Dying for Love, which is pure, mid-tempo heavy metal excellence, and Back to Eden.
And there was a specific comparison made for Back to Eden, wasn't there?
There was, and it's significant. The author specifically mentioned that Back to Eden sounds strongly reminiscent of early 90s Iron Maiden.
Interesting.
It's got that galloping rhythm and intricate melodic structure that pushes it beyond typical Sabbath into a broader NWOBHM-influenced sound.
And what was the anthemic track that sealed the deal for its #1 spot?
That would be Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It ties off this fantastic middle section with a massive anthemic hook, proving that the band hadn't lost their ability to craft stadium-filling metal, even in their later iteration.
So that sustained, high-quality burst of genuinely heavy, slickly produced metal was just deemed the best effort in this group.
It secured the victory.
That sets an incredibly high bar. So now let's contrast this with the album that finished third, Marilyn Manson's Mechanical Animals. Separated by only 4 years, but this album is the definition of postmodern clinical rock.
Where Sabbath is organic and aggressive, Manson delivered an album that the author consistently described using terms of manufactured perfection. Things like superbly produced, clinical, almost sterile, stark, bleak, and dystopian.
It's an electronica glam metal effort.
Exactly. It sounds consciously engineered from the ground up.
So why did this clinical perfection, which you'd think would translate well in an objective competition, only land it in third place? It was beaten by a raw Southern rock band.
Well, the clinical nature might have been its undoing when compared to the visceral, raw honesty of the other contenders. While the technical quality is undeniable, it has sporadically high energy, an unsettling distortion and vibe, and is expertly arranged.
That's fine.
It sometimes lacks the emotional depth or punch that Black Sabbath and Blackfoot brought consistently. It feels like a brilliant performance rather than a gut-level rock album.
Let's delve deeper into the influences that shaped this sound. Beyond just mentioning Bowie, how did these influences manifest musically?
The Bowie influence is pervasive. It extends beyond just the glam aesthetic and into the whole concept album structure, where Manson adopted the androgynous Omega persona, mirroring Bowie's Ziggy Stardust.
Right, the album art.
Exactly. And musically, you hear it in the arrangements, the calculated theatrics and the heavy use of chorus and flange effects on the clauses and vocals. It gives tracks like The Dope Show that shimmering, almost decadent feel.
And the Pink Floyd connection. That seems counterintuitive to industrial glam rock.
It manifests in the atmospheric, sprawling nature of certain tracks. Speed of Pain is cited specifically as a chill-out moment, echoing the vast, spacey soundscapes of later Floyd albums.
So it provides some texture and variety.
It does, and showing its complete modernity, the author also detected clear flashes of the prodigy.
Okay, that makes sense.
The dark, driving electronic elements and sampling, you can find that particularly on the aggressive, high-energy track, Posthuman.
So which tracks ultimately secured its third-place ranking?
The strength of the album is definitely concentrated in its singles and key conceptual tracks. The Dope Show, the unsettling industrial groove of New Model Number 15, the aforementioned Posthuman, and the highly arranged I Don't Like the Drugs. but the drugs like me.
Near the high points.
Right, and these high points confirmed its superiority over the weaker tracks of the Police. But its overall feeling, that manufactured quality, prevented it from defeating the consistent rock power of Blackfoot.
We can't discuss Manson's round one victory without revisiting that incredible personal anecdote about how mechanical animals managed to outcompete Vangelis's Chariots of Fire.
Oh, it's a great story.
It just beautifully illustrates that painful collision between personal history and objective analysis in the album quest.
It truly does. The author was forced to consciously divorce his deep nostalgic attachment to the Vangelis album, which had shaped his early musical understanding, from its competitive quality in the quest.
So what was the specific memory that made the choice so tough?
It dates back to a moment of pure, innocent discovery. The author, as a young boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, heard the track titles from the Chariots of Fire soundtrack.
The iconic piano theme.
That's the one. He was completely captivated by this beautiful, entrancing piano piece, and he immediately assumed, as you know, children do, that his dad possessed every piece of music imaginable.
Oh, of course.
And he asked him to record that track onto a tape for him.
A wonderful snapshot of childhood curiosity.
And the father, being a true music lover, had the LP, but instead of just recording the single track, he recorded the entire album.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And this act introduced the author to his first true instrumental listening experience.
Yeah.
But despite that incredible historical and personal significance, when forced to choose between that deep sentiment and the sharp, compelling arrangement of Manson's 1998 Billboard topper,
The objective quality one.
the objective quality of Mechanical Animals prevailed. And that ability to set aside decades of positive memory for the sake of the competition, that's the true challenge of the album quest.
So now we arrive at the biggest surprises of Group 47. The dramatic, unexpected low of the Police, and the triumphant, unexpected high of Blackfoot.
Yeah, the big upset.
The Police's Ghost in the Machine was the presumptive favorite, yet it suffered a catastrophic failure, crashing to 4th place.
This result is a crucial demonstration of how this competitive format reveals flaws in albums that are otherwise universally beloved.
What was the main issue?
The author's issue with the Police, even in their most refined phase, is that their sound can still be difficult to digest.
Really?
Despite infectious melodies and clear hit potential, the band's abrasive rhythmic style can get overbearing across a full album listen.
That is such a fascinating critique, to focus on the very core of their sound, the rhythm section, as the point of failure. How does this abrasive rhythmic style manifest in a way that undermines their material?
Well, it's not about aggression or volume, which would be the standard complaints against Sabbath or Manson.
Right.
It's about monotonous density and sonic clashes. The author provides a detailed takedown of the track One World, not 3.
What's the problem with that one?
It's a track with a charming, almost sing-along melody, yet that melody is almost drowned in that monotonous and droning dual horn attack in the second half of the song.
They called it a bit of a din. And that's the irony, right? Complaining about noise on a pop album in a group that contains legitimate heavy metal.
It underscores the specificity of the failure. The horns, which were probably meant to add texture, just become a repetitive, abrasive drone that actively detracts from the song.
So a mixing or arrangement choice that works against the song.
And that specific failure point serves as a metaphor for the album's overall struggle in the quest.
Let's review the album's structure, because its failure hinged on a weak middle section, which tracks specifically failed to carry the weight.
The album starts extremely strong. Spirits in the Material World provides that eerie, ethereal start with Sting's vocals.
Classic.
Immediately followed by the undeniable brilliance of Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic and the geopolitical commentary of Invisible Sun. These are world-class tracks.
So where does the collapse begin?
It begins shortly thereafter. Demolition Man starts with great energy, but the author criticizes its excessive length, noting it's dragged out for an unnecessary 2 minutes at the end.
A lack of editorial discipline.
It's the first warning sign. Then you hit that middle section. Tracks like Secret Journey, the aforementioned One World, Rehumanize Yourself, and Too Much Information.
We need to justify why these tracks are subpar when compared to the high standards set by the competition. I mean, Sabbath's metal precision and Blackfoot's relentless groove.
They failed on consistency and focus. Secret Journey is a good pop effort, but it lacks the memorable hook or the rhythmic urgency of the opening tracks. Rehumanize Yourself suffers from an arrangement that feels almost chaotic, failing to key into a driving whole.
And Too Much Information.
Even the technically interesting Too Much Information gets lost in its own complexity. It feels less like a cohesive song and more like a collection of brilliant musical ideas just thrown together.
So when you compare that to the focus intensity of Blackfoot's 5-minute songs or Sabbath's crushing riff cycles,
The Police's middle tracks simply lacked the sustained, compelling power needed to win round 2. They offered too many valleys among the peaks.
that is a powerful lesson. 1 or 2 stellar hits are simply not enough in the high-pressure environment of the album quest.
Not at all.
However, we have to stress that the failure was not due to a lack of talent. The musicianship, especially Stuart Copeland's drumming, is called truly phenomenal.
Undeniably, the author stresses that the Police are flawless musicians, no doubt absolutely top tier. And Copeland's drumming on this album is singled out as an absolute masterclass.
He calls this material the final course at Drum University.
He does.
Okay, so let's enroll the listener in Drum University. What specific techniques on Ghost in the Machine exemplify Copeland's genius, even when the overall album structure failed him?
The detail provided here is high value. We start with the sheer stamina required for Demolition Man. It features a fast tempo and a driving, incredibly syncopated groove. To maintain that level of complexity and speed requires immense precision, far beyond what most rock drummers are asked to perform.
That speaks to the technical difficulty. What about complexity in the groove itself?
For that, you look at One World, not 3. Ironically, the song with the problematic horns also features a brilliant, tight, reggae-influenced groove.
What's Copeland's trick here?
It's the hi-hat work. It is intricate and tricky, coupled with constant, subtle ghost notes on the snare. It's a rhythmic puzzle that he solves effortlessly, laying down a deep pocket while simultaneously injecting complex polyrhythms.
And the final piece of the curriculum.
Too Much Information showcases his dynamic control. This track demands constantly busy hi-hat patterns, almost a blur of motion, combined with challenging, precise dynamic snare accents. He navigates the song's ever-changing textures without losing the core drive.
So the conclusion is profound. The album lost because of structural weaknesses in songwriting and arrangement, but the individual technical performance, especially Copeland's, was unparalleled in this group.
That's it, exactly.
We pivot now from the technical perfection that lost to the gritty, raw sound that unexpectedly triumphed, securing second place, Blackfoot's Tomcat.
This is the true dark horse success story of Group 47. Released in 1980, Tomcattin narrowly defeated the more modern, sophisticated Marilyn Manson.
And the author describes the sound as a grungy-sounding, gritty, raw, southern boogie rock sound.
It's an interesting anachronism to use the word grunge, but it captures the raw intensity perfectly. It suggests a dirtier, more immediate sound than the typical arena rock southern bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd.
What was the secret to Tomcattin's victory over the high-concept precision of Mechanical Animals?
Consistency and visceral power. The author repeatedly emphasizes that this album never wavers.
No weak middle section here.
Not at all. Every track retains a consistent level of quality, energy, and engagement throughout its runtime. Ricky Medlock puts everything he has into these vocals, delivering a guttural, powerful performance, and the band is noted as being one tight band.
They deliver pure, unadulterated rock authenticity.
That's the word.
And the source material highlights the importance of deep listening and research regarding the guitar work here.
It does, and this is a crucial lesson in the album quest methodology. The author initially gave Medlock all the credit for the incredible guitar work.
A natural assumption, given he's the frontman.
Right. However, research revealed that Charlie Hargett was actually responsible for a lot of the awesome guitar playing on this album.
So recognizing that collaborative virtuosity reinforces the album's strength.
And provides a more accurate understanding of why the album performs so well.
Let's look at the key tracks that embody this raw, consistent power.
The album wastes no time. Warped is identified as the excellent opener, possibly the strongest track, setting a high-octane standard immediately.
And it keeps that energy up.
It's carried through with solid boogie efforts like On the Run and Dream On. The consistency is maintained even in the final third, which features In the Night. That one is noted as probably the only track with a recognizable pop rock hook.
A momentary change of pace before returning to the grit.
Exactly.
And it concludes with that nod to debauchery we heard in the title analysis.
It does. The album concludes with the high-energy, objectionably rogue rock and roll storytelling of Reckless Abandoner.
So when you contrast this with Manson,
Blackfoot offered a strutting boogie southern rock feel that was authentic, relentless, and felt entirely unmanufactured. While Manson had sporadic brilliance and impeccable production, Blackfoot's consistent, powerful execution secured the second spot by offering pure, uncompromising quality throughout its entire length.
So we've witnessed the destruction of the initial predictions, the collapse of the favorite, and the rise of the underdog. Let's confirm the final ranking for Round 2, Group 47.
The official final tally saw the two acts focused on heavy execution and consistency advance, eliminating the two commercial heavyweights. First place, Cross Purposes by Black Sabbath.
A victory for focused, later-era heaviness.
Second place, Tomcattin by Blackfoot.
A victory for consistent, raw Southern rock.
And then in third place, Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson. And in fourth, Ghost in the Machine by The Police.
The outcome is clear. The two heavy rock acts advanced.